Okay, so now when we read in this data file, I'll just open it. Here it is. So here we have the frequency of these colloquies. So we have basically adjective or actually any word plus dog or plus cat, right? So here we have a colloquy that precedes dog or cat. And then we also have a count. So how often is this found? And you can see that here we have the word, and then also this is a part of speech tag. So we have an underscore and then JJ for adjective, for example, or NN1 for noun. So we have the word and then an underscore and then the tag. Right, so what that means for us is that our data is not tidy in this format. And the reason for that is that we have two pieces of information. So we have the word and the part of speech tag in the same column. And we shouldn't have that. We should have a column that just has the word, and we should have a separate column that has the part of speech tag. So what we can do to fix that is use separate, right? So the command that we'll need here is called separate. The arguments that it needs is just the data frame, which will pipe in as always. Then it needs to know which column should be separated. So separating here, what I mean is splitting one column into two or more columns. So the column that should be separated is called, let's see what it's called, is called colloquium. So I need to change that here. And so that's the column we want to split up. And then R needs to know, okay, what should the new column names be? So which names should I give the two or more new columns? And here I would like one that's called call for colloquium and one called call tag, right? So we want to split it up into the word and the tag. And then R also needs to know how to split it up. So which symbol separates or should be used to separate these two variables. And here we can see that is always an underscore. So this is kind of a fairly typical corpus linguistic thing, at least in my experience, that word and tag are separated by an underscore. Other possibilities are a slash. Sometimes you see that, but underscore is pretty typical. So we can use this to say, please separate this column into two columns, which are called this, right? So see how I have it in a vector and I'm using quotation marks. And the separator to split these up by is an underscore, right? So, and one other thing is that we've wrapped this entire command into brackets, and what that does is it allows you to save your changes. I'm directly saving the changes, but it also lets you show the output, right? So just 2 in 1, that's just what I'm doing here. And now we see we have mad and dog, and then the tag is in its own column now. So let's have a look at another example. If we go back to the self-paced reading data, we have this condition column, which has these 5 levels here, and that has 2 pieces of information, which condition the item was in. So is it condition A or condition B? And then also which animal was being read about, right? So that's also an issue that's not tidy here, right? So what we can do is use the exact same call, so separate again. The column that we want to separate is condition. It's just called condition. We renamed that earlier. And we need to separate that into condition and animal. All right. So now this is separated. Right, and you saw a little warning pop up, and the reason for that is that I haven't filtered the practice items, I'm pretty sure. So what that means is that if R is unable to separate something into 2 columns, because I'm giving it 2 columns here, it'll put NA to fill up these rows. And it'll tell you, oh, I expected 2 pieces. I expected there to be 2 columns. But for some of these rows, that didn't work because it still said practice, and then it puts NAs in there. Okay, so that's how it will react to that. Okay, and just to make it clear, so this is the separator is what I type in, right? That can also be a space. It can be several characters. It can be a full stop. It can be pretty much anything, right? So it's just an underscore because in the data we had an underscore. So then let's move on to to the opposite of separate. So we have unite. That's the exact opposite of separate. So you can kind of glue columns together instead of splitting them up. And here also we need to specify what should the name of the new column be, right? So what I want to do here is to have the colloquium plus cat or dog. So I want like mad dog and ginger cat and so on without the tag. So I'm ignoring the tag. I just want to glue basically call and animal together, right? So I want this column to be called call_word. And the 2 columns that I want to glue together are call and animal, so the colloquium and the animal. I could list as many as I like here, so this is not limited to 2 columns, but as many as I like. And I have to give a separator, and here I've just typed in a space. I would just like a space. So here we go. So now we have mad dog, ginger cat, and so on, right? And this is not necessarily tidy. So unite is something you would often not use for tidying, but for maybe you want to enter these into a corpus again to see the bigram frequency or something like that. So this is more of an operation that you would do for other reasons, not necessarily for tidying. There are I haven't really come across an example in data I've used where you would use unite to tidy. Yeah. All right. And one additional step that we can take here, and Kyla already talked about this, is to talk about, is to use distinct, right? So you can see that we have a lot of repetition. So we have mad dog several times just in this preview. So this first part is exactly the same as this part, right? Exactly the same. But then I'm piping it into distinct. And what I would like to be distinct is just this new call word column that I created so that we don't have any repetitions, right? So you can see mad dog and everything else just appears once. So that's what distinct does, right? Just unique values. And this is also useful because we can see we only just created this new column, but we can straight away pipe it and do something else with that new column,